guys. What a dynamite. What a dynamite. Absolutely amazing. We had a return and a debut and new tag title changes all in the same night. What a show. What a show. What a show. AEW Friday Night Dynamite, guys. And I just specifically had to touch on two things out of this, actually three things, but the title of this video will be focused on two things. Number one, Mark Davis, who we have not seen in nearly a year. He's been gone. It's just been Kyle Fletcher by himself. Kyle Fletcher comes out there talking about, trying to get um trying to get Will Ospreay to come out, says he wants to talk with him along with Don Callis. Then he says, "Oh, well, look, Will Ospreay's not going to come out," knowing that Will Ospreay wasn't going to come out anyway because he's still selling the neck injury that he hit him with the Tiger Driver at the end of Wrestle Dream when he turned on him. And then out comes the Aussie music hits, which you hadn't heard in some time, and Mark Davis comes out. And the crowd, he got a pretty big pop, because Mark Davis got injured sometime last year, and pretty much Kyle O'Reilly, not Kyle O'Reilly, excuse me, Kyle Fletcher has been by himself ever since that happened. He eventually joined the Don Callis family and everything, but they had an exchange, and he was telling him how he turned on their brother, and basically saying, how could you, he's not going to come out, and, saying basically how he's changed. And Kyle Fletcher was like, he hasn't changed. And really, you know, Don Collins opened his eyes up, to to Osprey, using both of them. In his words, he was saying they were using him. He was, using them, and Mark Davis wasn't having it. And basically, it just ended with him telling him that he had an option, and that was either to, you know, um, to either, to choose, what he was gonna do, because he didn't have any problem with, like, getting rid of his past. And it was just a really, surreal moment, because Kyle Fletcher, him and Mark Davis, hasn't teamed up in a while, with Mark Davis being out, and it was nice to finally see him go. So it's gonna be interesting to see if he, actually sides with Kyle Fletcher, or if he's gonna side with Osprey here with that story. You got the big story with the Elite, but I wanted to touch on the BCC, or whatever they're calling themselves now, but I also wanted to mention Private Party finally beating the Young Bucks. I did not think that was going to happen in a million years, even though, Private, they've been teasing it and saying, how they haven't won the big one, and they haven't been able to beat the Bucks when it counts in the title matches, and because they lost to them at Wrestle Dream. I just didn't think it would happen, because there's been this tease of, a possible breakup, and they put their team on the line. If they lost, they would break up. The last time this happened, with SCU, like with Christopher Daniels was talking to him about backstage, when him and Frankie Kazarian, when they put their teamship on the line, they ended up losing to the Young Bucks, and that was actually the famous match where he messed up his eye. That was the match where, for a long time, Christopher Daniels' eye was messed up after that. And so, but that didn't happen this time. But I really didn't think they were going to win, mainly because they had just, beat them last week in a six-man trios, tag match. Um, and so normally, a lot of times when the champs lose in matches like that before a title match, they end up winning, in a title match. So I thought, maybe, especially with them, with Stolfi Hathaway trying to, great stare the pot and say that Isaiah Cassidy was the better guy between the two. I thought for sure they were going to lose, but the way they booked this match, they got a much better reaction here than what they got when they were, in Seattle for Wrestle Dream, which I think that had more to do with placement more than anything. I just think by the time they did that match, the crowd wasn't as hot anymore. They had seen a lot of matches, and this one was a lot of near falls. They kicked out of the Isaiah. Kicked out of the BTE. Well, now they call it EVP. He kicked out of that. He kicked out of several things in this match. They uh, actually the Young Bucks at one point hit the Fenjuice or whatever they call it on them, and they managed to kick out. And they actually took out Mark Quinn on the stage when Okada got involved and tombstoned him on the stage, and you thought he was out for the rest of the match, but he managed to get back in. And when it was a miscue early in the match, where Marco Quinn actually hit Isaiah Cassidy by accident with the ring bell, when Matthew Jackson was going to try to clock him with it, and Marco Quinn grabbed it out of his hand. So it was a lot of drama in this match. But in the end, the Private Party, they finally did it, and I got to say, that was a huge moment. The Young Bucks snatched the titles out their hand, and then they handed them the belts. I thought maybe this would be like some type of tweenership or turn with them, but we kind of see where this was going, because based upon how the BCC were acting, Cassidy opened up the show calling out Moxley, and then Moxley coming out later and saying that he, didn't call him out, but he called him out. And, everybody was looking at him to be the leader to step up. And it really took for him to take out one of his best friends, Chuck Taylor, for him to really step up. And that's basically what happened. Then he teased they were going to take out Willa Yuta. And, then he came in there, and there was just this huge brawl that Derby Allen eventually got involved in, which I will say this time was a lot better than, some of the other brawls that they've had. But stacked with that. The only thing I would say I didn't care for too much was, oh man, the match with Chris Stanlander. I thought it was, I didn't think it was a bad match, but, it's just kind of like, you kind of figured she was going to win, trying to go after Mercedes for the title. I will say, though, with Camille losing this early after just 5 matches, I don't think that made her look that credible, especially when you look at the match she had last week with Queen. Oh man, her name's not coming to me right now, but you guys know who I'm talking about. The same lady that went against Mercedes for the TBS belt in the other championship not that long ago and took her to the limit. She just went against her last week and she was struggling to beat her, so you had that going on. But I thought it was good for what it was. But Private Party finally wins it. One of the originals to win it. Young Bucks, after that, they, storm the scene. They leave out. They actually, leave. They actually leave out. I mean, it was just, a huge moment. I gotta say, that was one of the biggest moments of the night. The crowd popped hard for it, especially with the tenacity Isaiah Cassidy had in the match. And then, so we had the return of Mark Davis. We had, which was a huge moment. You had the Private Party win the belts. You had the Young Bucks walk out along with Jack Perry, saying that things have gotten too crazy around here. They said they were going to change the culture, change the world. but it's just gotten too chaotic. Then they're gonna say they're working from home, and then they leave the premises, leave they leave oh my goodness, what is his name? Um, they leave their guy by himself. He gets beat up by the BCC. I actually kind of thought Brandon Cutler, that's his name. Because he had the bag box with their shoes, and he's left alone. He gets beat up by them. He gets taken out. Marita Shafir takes him out, holds his arm, and Claudio grabs like that same hammer that they used on Isaiah Cassidy, kind of like what they did with him, and hit him with his head. So I do wonder if this is gonna lead to maybe the Young Bucks and Jack Perry, because you also had a scene where Danny Garcia like grabbed Jack Perry and said, why aren't you doing anything? Why aren't you stepping up? So I wonder if this is gonna lead to some type of thing where they get back involved and maybe they step up or something. I don't know. It's very interesting how where this could go just based upon how they reacted. But very interesting. And now Orange Cassidy been in the picture. He's got a match for the title with Moxley at Full Gear. We've seen they actually main evented All Out last year, which is when Moxley won the international belt. And Orange Cassidy did eventually win that belt back. I think he beat Moxley in the rematch. I want to say, was that at Wrestle Dream last year? They had the rematch. Because I know Moxley dropped the belt to Ray Phoenix because he got like a concussion or something. And I want to say that happened at Grand Slam. And then at Grand Slam last year. And then Phoenix dropped it to Cassidy. And when they had another match, Cassidy won that match. So I know Cassidy is not winning this match though at Full Gear. I'm almost certain he's not winning this time. He's definitely not beating Moxley for the belt. But then the show ends. Swerve and Lashley go at it. Not Swerve. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Swerve and Shelton Benjamin goes at it. Pretty decent main event. I'm trying to make sure I'm not leaving out anything because there was a lot that went on. This was a stacked show tonight. Well, you did have a segment with Jericho, talking about Mark Briscoe, and you did have Adam Cole go at it with Buddy Murphy, which was actually the first match. Buddy Matthews was actually the first match of the show, which I thought, for the most part, Adam was selling his foot, ankle or whatnot from the injury that he suffered last year. He was selling that for a good portion of the match, and at one point, Dr. Samson grabbed him and looked like he was going to leave the ring. Then Buddy Matthews trash talked about him, and then he got back in the ring, and then eventually, he was able to beat Matthews. But Buddy Matthews pretty much, took up the bulk of the match, until he hit him with a couple of super kicks and Panama Sunrise, Canadian Destroyer, whatever you want to call it. The move's been done to death. But hey, he hit that, and eventually, he won the match. So he also had that going on. And next week, he looked like he's going to go against Malachi Black. So the main event, Shelton Benjamin, Swerve Strickland, really decent match. I really thought Lashley would show up during the match to help, Shelton win, but it made sense of how they did this because, Swerve beat Shelton Benjamin here in his third match on Dynamite. But after that, MVP's making a phone call, and boom, out comes Shelton Benjamin. Out comes Bobby Lashley, which I gotta say, in my opinion, I think his new theme music is just as good as what he had in WWE. I actually like his new theme music, and the crowd is popping as you would expect, and it's just crazy. Really, really crazy. And then out of nowhere, Shelton Benjamin fires the first. Well, he tries to hit. Swerve's trying to hit Shelton Benjamin. That's when they all triple team him, take him out, take the security out, and the crowd really popped when MVP said, it looks like we're back in business because they knew what that meant, and then the crowd just popped hard. So I gotta say, this show here was awesome, awesome show. Um, the theme of it, I'm not concerned about that. Don't have anything to say about that. Not concerned about the theme or any of that stuff. Don't get into the holiday and all that stuff. But I'll just say that the show itself was an awesome show, and it was just really good. I really thought it, was well delivered for the most part. There were certain parts of it that, you know, was what it was, but I think between Mark Davis coming back and then, the whole thing with now it seemed like the elite um, could actually get involved, in some capacity just based upon how they responded tonight, losing to the private party and shaking their hands, giving them the belts, and then just kind of like leaving the premises. Very interesting where that story can go with them. And, just the Hurt Syndicate now, being involved. Orange Cassidy stepping up now, which is what they've been telling, the story they've been telling for a while now, especially after his best friend Chuck Taylor was taken out. So, I mean, it's just a lot, that's unfolding at this point. So I think this show was good. I think it was a really, really good show. And, you know, just an awesome show. So that's pretty much it, guys. I'm signing up for Mr. Flex. Like, comment, subscribe, talk to you guys later.